Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Lightfoot, thank you very much for being here. This is a fascinating conversation. I was born in 1961. I have a very nostalgic memory of NASA as I grew as a young lad and observed the moon landing. And for my entire life, I've looked forward to our return to space and our return to dominance of space, which we certainly seem to have lost that clear dominance as a nation as we explore beyond our planet. The history of NASA is replete with, you know, the smartest guys and women in the world doing more with less. And I'm happy to say that the current budget, as requested by the President, cuts NASA's budget. It's the lowest of any non-defense or non-security related part of the executive. And because this is a discussion about budget and NASA and what you can do, and you know, we recognize that certainly in this committee, from a bipartisan perspective, we recognize that if we're to be first on Earth, we must be first in space, and yet we must protect the people's treasure. One of the projects that I've followed through the years, is a fascinating success, is Cassini. In your written testimony, you stated that after 13 years orbiting Saturn, our Cassini spacecraft has begun a series of 22 daring dives through the 1,500-mile-wide gap between the planet and its rings as part of the mission's grand finale. That'll be in September of this year, 19 years from launch. This mission also included a lander on Titan, Saturn's largest moon, which sent back fascinating data. And it's important to note that the success of Cassini and the Titan lander was reflective of 25 to 30-year-old technology, 1980s and early 90s technology. So my question to you would be, considering the fact that this technology and the success of Cassini is that old, is pre-digital. We should note that the iPhone was introduced in 2004. What do you expect from Cassini's September end of mission controlled crash into the surface of Saturn, and what might we expect from missions developed with current technologies as we move forward, and as that relates to NASA's historic ability to do more with less?
Yeah, I think I've been in this business long enough, or in this agency long enough, to not speculate on what we might see, because we always get surprised with what we learn. If you look at the recent images from Juno as it went around Jupiter, I mean, just stunning.
Right.
And that's newer technology. Still, you know, when we launch them, it's a little older. But I think what you'll see with Cassini is this is why we're doing the dives. We want to see what's there, what's in there. We've already learned even from some of the initial passes. To me, what's happened, the reason we're able to do more with less is because of the advances in technology, right? If you look at the miniaturization, like you said, your iPhone, if you look at the miniaturization of sensors, propulsion systems, all the things that are happening, you try to pack those into a spacecraft that's going to go make these incredible discoveries. That miniaturization actually helps us, right? It helps us to be able to build these spacecraft, because to get them off Earth is the hardest part of this, you know, getting there. So I think the technologies we're working on, whether they're new detectors, new sensors, that's what we have in our budget from science standpoint and a technology standpoint. Both of those mission directors are working on those kind of things to allow us to get that even better kind of data that we get. New Horizons is another great example when it went by Pluto, and the stuff that we got back there. So technology is a critical piece of us. That's why we think the space technology mission director and the technology that the science mission director does is actually feeds forward into the next mission. Starshade, for instance, that I talked about earlier, is another technology we'd love to get on orbit. And again, be able to use those technologies to just do better discoveries and more discoveries. The thing that I've learned is every question we answer causes more questions, right? And that's what's so exciting about what we do from a science standpoint. And that technology helps us to actually move forward.
And just briefly, thank you for that answer. Just briefly, could you address regarding the budget as it currently begins to manifest for NASA, what's the general morale within NASA it seems to be an exciting time of rebirth, and please address that briefly.
Yeah, you know, we're the best place to work in government for the last 5 years, and I think that probably says it the best. That's our workforce filling out the government-wide survey. People are excited. I mean, the chairman was there yesterday at Johnson. Goodness gracious, people are just they're excited about what we're doing, and they're excited because if you look at the cadence of discoveries, we make a lot of news, right? And it's usually good news, you know, usually. And I think that it inspires our teams to actually do even more. So yeah, I think the morale's good, very good.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank